So I'm now sleeping at the hospital full time at night, right? Because he's in there. I think he was there for 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks, I'm sleeping at night in the hospital. I'd get up a little bit early, check and make sure the hospital team would take care of him. I'd go back to our apartment, which was about 45 minutes away, change, do what I need to do, and then go to work, right? And that's because I wasn't allowed to work from the hospital. My boss needed me in the office, and I understand he's running a business, and businesses do not care about you personally. Your personal life, you need to leave that at the door when you work in their business, and that's how they feel. That's how companies are. So I literally was exhausted, and sleeping in a hospital recliner is not comfortable. I don't care who says it is, it's not comfortable. While I'm there, though, I'm learning valuable things as far as, like, once again, how to change his bandages, how to bathe him and look for bloating, how to, look at his overall health and see what he needs and anticipate what's needed and how to render him assistance. So the real caregiving journey begins. If you're dealing with a spouse who's had some kind of negative diagnosis, it starts, but you really get into it as you start to provide treatment and care and more hands-on, to me, approach to rendering care to the care recipient, which is exactly what I was doing. So I remember this was a humorous part now that I can talk about it since I've already been through it. So in every situation, there's always going to be there's going to be the unexpected. Expect the unexpected, like they always tell you. So we went through a training session, or I went through a training session. Of course, they're talking to you about dietary needs, things that he can and can't do. They like to recap and really reiterate it so that because you're going to be home with this person by yourself. And they want to make sure that you are fully aware of what to do in cases of emergencies. And I really valued that training that I got. And I remember one of the things that they said was, you need to have constant communication, because after you leave, there can be an event. Like, he could still have a heart attack 2 weeks after you leave the hospital. And I'm sitting here going, we're still in a danger zone at this point. And I don't know, caregivers, if you guys have had similar experiences. It elevated my blood pressure at this point, which was already high, I'm sure. And so they told me, look out for these warning signs, because he can go to cardiac arrest. You're going to have to call 911. If this happens, make sure you always have your cell phone with you so that you have access to him, da 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 da. So I'm like, at that point, things had gotten tight, and I could not afford cell services at that time. Now, we talking about 2000, so just remember, cell phones weren't new, but they were still quite expensive to have a line when I've gone and spent so much money on specialists, and it's just the two of us, but we're newlyweds now. I'm the only one working. I had to trim the bills. I had to trim it, right? But we still had a house line. Anybody remember what those are? House lines. They actually are in your house. Okay, so. So the day before we get released, he gets released from the hospital. It was a weekend. I'll never forget that Sunday. I had to go to work Monday, but I'm thinking, he's got the house phone, and, I'll be calling to check on him and make sure everything's okay. And once again, we had no other backup plan, but this is the backup plan. And so I'm in the hospital room, and I look at the news, and they talk about a fire in an apartment complex. Really weren't paying attention. He was having breakfast, and I'm like, okay. Then they said our apartment complex. That made us both stop. Then they said the street that we lived on at the apartment complex. And then they mentioned our building number. And live on the news, the apartment above us, because we're on the middle, in the middle, right? There's a basement apartment level, middle apartment, and then the upper level. The upper level apartment directly above us is on fire. You see the fire shooting through the roof? And we both look at each other, and I think I just started laughing. And it wasn't that kind of laughter where you're happy. It was hysterics, right? It was, you have got to be kidding me. So I leave because I got to get to the apartment complex. This is our home. Do we even have a home to go to? Do we have any place to live? What are we going to do?